Everyone, welcome to our first podcast. This is Hard Hats and High Limits. I am here with the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. You guys know him from King Construction, Mike Hewett.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Yeah,
It's not me.
you know exactly who we're talking about. You know exactly.
So you guys, we're doing this on my YouTube channel, which is the Remodel King, and we have over 83,000 subscribers.
And counting.
And Mitch and I were talking, and we thought, we should do a podcast. And so our podcast is going to be about real estate and finance and how to use both to make money, right? That's what this is all about. And just a little bit about myself. Most of you know me from my videos on my YouTube channel, but also I've been a general contractor for over 35 years. And I've done so many real estate transactions that I can't even tell you how many. A lot of people will say I've done 15 transactions or I've done 150 transactions. I don't even know, because I've done so many, because I've been buying and selling and building real estate
For as long as I've been alive.
So anyways, how Mitch and I got together is that I decided I had the opportunity to go out and participate in real estate investing workshops. And we were in a different city every weekend, and we would do these 3-day workshops, and we would be helping people get signed up for real estate education. And it was great. I loved it. I love real estate. And if you look inside yourself, I'll bet you would say, I want to be a real estate investor. Every person I talk to wants to be a real estate investor, but they don't know how to do it. And you know what? Mitch and I want to help you do that. So that's kind of what this podcast is going to be about, is how can you get from where you're at right now, thinking about and wanting to be a real estate investor, to being one. And then also, Mitch has a great background and great information that he can bring to this podcast about how to fix your credit, how to fund your deals, and everything in between, including credit card stacking. We both have a stack of credit cards at home, but we forgot to bring them for this podcast. We are sitting right now in the kitchen of a fix and flip project that we did in the city of West Valley City, Utah. And we just finished it. We listed it 2 days ago. And we thought this would be a fitting place to do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about this project and how it came to be and how much of mine and my wife's money is into it. And so, which is a big fat zero, just so you know.
Ask him how much of my money is in it as well.
Okay, so Mitch, tell him about yourself.
Yeah, well, just kind of introduce myself to people that don't know me. My name is Mitch Houston, born and raised here in Utah. I am a real estate investor. I'm also a real estate developer. That's kind of our new next venture. But mostly what I've been doing for the last decade is credit card stacking, helping people get started investing in real estate by using credit cards at 0%. So that's kind of why we wanted to talk about that here, because that's actually how we funded this deal. We used business credit cards at 0% interest to fund this deal. We were making a joke before, I've always wanted to be a real estate investor, but in my mind, I didn't really know what that actually meant. I was making a joke to Mike. We were fixing these microphones here, and that's probably the first time I've picked up an actual tool or a wrench in, I don't know, probably 5 to 10 years. I do not do that. I don't know how to do any of that, but still I make a ton of money by investing in real estate and never having to pick up a tool.
So Mitch, we were having a conversation yesterday in preparation for this. First off, notice there's no notes, so we could be jumping all over the place.
It's gonna be crazy.
We'll do our best not to, but it'll happen. But when you mentioned your first and last name, I know could not help but interrupt you and say, Houston, we have a problem.
We do have several problems. This is the biggest problem that's going on right now, in my opinion. just lost the hair. Yeah, really hard to deal
Yeah,
with.
we're both of us the same.
Yeah, that's why we're wearing the hard hats today, cover up the baldness.
So Mitch traveled around with us because one of the things that people don't ever think about is you can buy real estate with a credit card. Did you ever thought about that? And we want to talk about the myths around debt and credit cards because so many of us, our parents, our grandparents, taught us to pay cash and to not go into debt. But the reality is, it depends on what kind of debt, right? It depends on if that debt, you're using it to leverage yourself, to make more money. So let's talk about Mitch. He partnered with us on this house. He's what we call an equity partner on this project. We call it the LeMay flip, and we'll be doing a whole video on my YouTube channel. It'll probably be over an hour long and we'll talk more about it because it was a big job. But Mitch is an equity partner with us on this project, and so what that means is that when you're financing a real estate investment property, like one that's not long term but short term, like you buy it, fix it up, and sell it, generally you can get funding from hard money lenders pretty easy. It's not that hard because it doesn't matter how much money you have or what your credit is or anything like that. They don't even ask you for your credit score, right? So, but they won't loan you 100% of the money, just like any other traditional loan. On this particular project, we had Boomerang Capital do the funding for us, and their fees were pretty reasonable for hard money. They charged us a 1% or 1 point up front, which is 1% of the loan amount, and then they're charging us 12% interest, which is an annualized number. So it's 12% for 12 months, but we'll probably only have the loan for 6 or 7 months. And so Boomerang will loan us 85% of the purchase price plus 100% of the rehab cost. How cool is that? But after that, there's a gap, right? Because you have your full purchase price and carrying costs and stuff like that. And so that's where we bring an equity partner in to help us out. And on this particular project, that was Mitch. And what he did, he brought in the money that was the difference between what we could get from our hard money lender and what we needed to not only close the deal, but also to service the debt, pay the gas bill, pay the water bill, and things like that during the course of construction. So Mitch put in $80,000, and that $80,000 was the difference between what we could get from our hard money loan and then what we needed to carry the rehab through, pay all our closing costs on the purchase and all of that kind of stuff. And so what we did is we worked out, he gets a percentage of the profits on this deal once we close and sell it. And he'll make, we don't know for sure, but probably 25 or 30,000 maybe on his investment in 6 or 7 months.
I think it's really, really important to kind of talk about the relationship as well with that deal, right? Because like I was mentioning before, I'm not good with tools. I didn't want to find the deal. I didn't want to look through the properties. I didn't want to get all of this in place, but I want to be a real estate investor still. Now, Mike, on the other hand, Mike loves doing this. Mike has done this for the last 30 years. They love finding deals. They love going through the old homes and seeing exactly what they can turn into. And Mike has that vision where I don't. But Mike doesn't want to use his money for his deal. So I think it's a very unique relationship because oftentimes in real estate, the real estate investor has the vision, but they don't want to use their own money. And then someone like me, I don't have the vision. I didn't want to do that. I don't want to go through all those hoops, but I have access to the capital where I can go through and invest in a property like this. So for me, before I even lent the money to Mike and Angie, I had never even stepped foot in this property. I had no idea where I was even at, to be completely honest with you. So I think it's kind of an interesting dynamic between an investor, two different investors, right? The actual real estate investor and then just the money guy.
Yeah. So part of it was pretty easy for you, right? Because we were friends. We'd known each other for a long time,
Yeah.
and we'd spend the weekends together on the road, and so actually we're part of a real estate investing community. We want to tell you more about that because the community that we're part of and that you can be part of really helps to get you going and get you started. But and in that community, Angie put it out there that we have this. My wife Angie put it out there that we have this fix and flip that we're investing in, and we're looking for equity partners. And Mitch texted us back like within 5 minutes. He says, "I'm in, all in." And so just like that, we had the money. Our hard money lender told us the same day when we sent all the numbers up to him. He says, "Yeah, I'll fund that for you." Just like that, same day. And we closed within, well, we would have closed within 7 days, but the homeowners that we were buying it from wanted an extra week to move out. And I'm not really sure why, because that's a whole nother story, because they didn't move anything out. It took us 21 dump trailer loads to get all their shiz out of here before we could even start doing demo. But we'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting as well. Just with that fact of community, right? Obviously, we've known each other for a really long time, but everyone in the community, we know they're getting the same education. We know that they're going to do deals right. So for me and everyone else in the community that we've gotten funding for, everyone feels safe and comfortable and confident lending their money out, knowing that the people that they're lending money to know what they're doing and they're going to make a profit on the deal.
Yeah, because that's part of it. That's part of the why you probably haven't jumped into being a real estate investor, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And a lot of times there's the fear factor, and we're afraid to do it because we don't know what we're doing. And so knowledge is one of the things that really helps to tamp down the fear, because the more you know, the more comfortable you are. And then if you have mentors and people in your community, your real estate investing community, that can help you. I have people calling me all the time asking me what I think about this project, or what about this one. I had someone send me the listing of a home that they were looking at, but it was a long commute, probably an hour commute just to civilization. And I told them, I said, the first three things you have to remember about investing in real estate is location, location, location. Because if you do something on a busy road, it doesn't work. Nobody wants to live on a busy road unless they have to. We had one of the members of our community sent us a possible real estate investment opportunity, and it was on a road in Salt Lake that is, it's 700 East in Salt Lake. So if you're familiar with Salt Lake, that's a pretty big artery. And how many lanes is it, Angie? 6 lanes, each direction. And so can you believe buying a home on that? It was a great deal, but I'm like, no, I'm not even remotely interested in that project. And so I even teach and train in our real estate community, and I teach people how to get started, how to get going. But we have education that can just really take care of that for you. But anyways, I think that I want to talk a little bit more about what Mitch can bring to the table for you as a real estate investor, because the next thing after fear is, how am I going to pay for this? How's the money? This kitchen that we're sitting in right now is a fix and flip that we're into our 6th month, and it took longer than we wanted it to because there was so much work to do. But my wife and I, who are the investors on this project, don't have any of our own money or credit used to purchase this property. How cool is that? Did you know we can do that? I'm telling you right now, we're sitting in a house that we did it. We bought this house without using any of our own money or our credit. And so a lot of times, Mitch, don't we talk about what you do with the credit card stacking and stuff like that, and the 0% interest funding. We call it gap funding. You want to explain why we call it gap funding?
Yeah, sure. So it's just to bridge the gap between getting the property and the hard money or private money lender. So in this case, Mike kind of talked about this or alluded to this earlier. There was an $80,000 gap between what they needed to put down to secure the property, and then also, to be able to secure the hard money or private money loan. So that's where we come into play. Now, we could have done that several different ways, right? You can do that with cash in your own bank account. I choose to use none of my own cash as well on a property like this, and we go through and use credit cards at 0% to fund that.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, a lot of times, so to find out if you qualify for this funding, you just have to answer a few questions on the portal that we'll actually put a link down here if you guys want to check it out. It's a soft pull on your credit, so it doesn't affect your credit score at all. And but they can tell by looking at that information. It's like kind of like what I like to tell people is like parting the blinds without opening the window. So we're not doing a hard pull on your credit. He's not. I'm not doing that. I'm the contractor side of this equation. But they're able to see what they need to see, and then they tell you that, well, we think we can get you 20 to 30,000, or it could be 40 to 60,000, or 60 to 80. What's the highest number typically?
Well, I mean, I just went through the process 2 weeks ago for our new build that we're doing,
Okay.
Our ground up construction, and I got 103,000. So, and that's not even the most that we've been able to get for people, but the $80,000 to $100,000 range is pretty much the max pre-approval that they'll give you, if you will. But I always like to kind of break that down, right? Because most of the time we're talking about credit cards. You and I get the same exact thing. We get the same exact look. My parents even think I'm absolutely crazy for using credit cards, right? People want to run for the hills. So I always like to talk about companies that were started by credit cards. I know you already know the whole story, but
Yeah, let's do that.
Google was actually started by using credit cards. So back in the 90s, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, they used credit cards to start and grow Google into what that is today. They're valued at about $1.7 trillion, which is insane. You think about small companies, and that doesn't come to mind by any means. And then the other companies out there, I mean, there's a lot of them, obviously, like Tito's Vodka was actually started by using credit cards. Under Armour was started by using credit cards. But the other one that I really like to talk about and really help people understand that the difference between debt that we're talking about and then leverage, right? Essentially, they're the same thing. It's just your mindset about what you're actually using the debt for. But the other company that I like to talk about is Airbnb. So the 3 founding members of Airbnb used about $20,000 each worth of personal credit cards to start and grow that into what it is today. They operate about 65,000 cities across the globe and are valued about $74 billion. So I think that's really interesting to put it into perspective like that. These are people that have gambled everything, right? They gambled everything to start their business, and they did it with credit cards. So they think in a different way than we do. I know why we get the crazy looks, right? It's just because I'm sure you were the same as I was growing up. My parents always told us never to talk about money, religion, or politics.
Here's the thing is that, as you're telling those stories, I love those stories.
Yeah, I think they're fascinating.
And it reminded me, years ago, I was building a home in the Salt Lake Parade of Homes. And there were some guys that were wanting to put furniture in my house. And I'm like, yeah, they weren't going to charge me for it. And they would put it in, keep it there during the show, and take it out. All I had to do was keep a sheet with the price of each of the pieces of furniture and the name of the furniture company. I was talking to them because they were young guys, and they had this big furniture company. And it was 3 guys, and they did their furniture store right next to the granddaddy of furniture stores in the Utah market, and that's R.C. Willey. And in fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but Warren Buffett bought R.C. Willey. And anyways, they did great. And the way they started their business is all 3 of them got their heads together, applied for credit cards, and that's how they started their business. So a lot of this is about mindset. It's like how you think, right? Because right now, when you look at credit cards, you're probably using them to buy stuff, buy your iPhone, buy your groceries, make your car payment, whatever, right? I just talked to a neighbor of mine, and he just bought a new Lazy Boy. He borrowed he fell and hurt his back. So we let him borrow our Lazy Boy, and he loved it so much he went and bought one, but he went into debt for it. And so we have to change the way we think. So if someone gets $100,000 in credit cards from you, should they go buy that boat they've been looking at for a while?
Yeah, probably. I mean, fishing is always really fun. I like the fact that
fishing boats aren't $100,000. I mean, fishing boats are just cheap.
it's cheap. Yeah. Well, you can buy the fishing boat and then use it to leverage as well. But success leaves clues, right? So the reason I brought up Sergey Brin and Larry Page, the reason that I brought up the owners of Airbnb, the reason that we're bringing up all of this stuff is success does leave clues, right? And if you follow what those people do, you also can make money, but you have to be educated. You have to understand what you're doing. You have to understand the risks, and you also have to take calculated risks to be able to make the money.
There's a book out there, maybe some of you have read it. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you haven't read that, read it, because so much of what we do is about how we think and our mindset. And so he coined a term called the rat race. I think he coined it. It's in the book. He calls it the rat race. But the rat race is, if you think about, a hamster or whatever on one of those hamster wheels going round and round in circles, but never going anywhere. A lot of times our lives are like that, right? We get up in the morning, we go to work, we make our hourly wage, our W-2 wage, and then we come home, we sit down in front of the TV, have dinner, play with the kids, and then we repeat the next day, and we do it over and over and over. And so sometimes we get caught in this cycle and we don't know how to get out of it. And sometimes we call that a comfort zone. I like to call it a discomfort zone, because in my mind, you are uncomfortably comfortable in a comfort zone because it's what you're used to. And you have to change the way you think, the way you talk, and who you hang out with if you want to get outside of that rat race. And Robert Kiyosaki's book, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is amazing how he shows the difference between two different sides of the fence. The people that are in the rat race that say debt is bad and are too conservative, versus someone that takes a little bit of risk and is more willing to try new things. We play a game. It's called the cash flow game, right? Right. Yeah, cash flow. Cash flow is what it's called. And it's a board game that was invented by Robert Kiyosaki. And we actually, in our real estate community, play it, get together and play it once or twice a month. We might have 5 or 6 of those games going at a time with 4 or 5 people at each board. And it is so fun. And people learn so much from playing that game about how to spend their money, what to invest in, what not to invest in. And the board game, in the middle of it, is a circle, and that's the rat race. And once you get to the point where your cash flow exceeds your monthly expenses. So, and what's passive income? It's income that comes in every month, whether you are awake or asleep or in Cancun or sick or whatever. That's from rental properties and other investments that you're doing. And so once you get your passive income exceeds your monthly expenses, then you're out of the rat race, because then your monthly expenses are covered by your passive income. And then there's a whole nother board that you can play in, and it's fun, amazing, and it's amazing the amount of money you can make in that game.
How many people actually get out of the rat race?
Not very many. Yeah, because people still they have to change their mindset. And so I watch people play. But yeah, no, that's a good question. How many people, when we're playing that game, actually get out of the rat race? Part of what that rat race teaches you is to change the way you think and how you think about investing and all that stuff. And so it's a great game. If you don't have it, you might want to get it. But first, read the book. Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, talking about people exiting the rat race, in the game is interesting, but people exiting the rat race in real life, that takes the cojones that you're talking about. Not a lot of people will take what they do and what they learn and actually take action based off that. So
yeah, let's talk about the different ways you can be a quote unquote real estate investor, right? Because we were talking about that last night as we were preparing for this. Obviously we're sitting in one of our fix and flip homes, and so you can buy homes, fix them up, and sell them. But there's so many other things, like what Mitch has done. He's equity partnered with us, and so he's making money in real estate as a real estate investor without actually buying real estate. There's other ways too. There's wholesaling. Wholesaling is where you go find someone that needs to sell their house quickly, and then you work a deal with them, and you turn around and sell it to your buyer's list of investors that want to buy a house and fix it up, and you make a little bit of money in the middle. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of people that do real estate wholesaling and do pretty well with it. But there's so many other options too. There's you buy and hold. There's something called real estate hacking, and we'll explain that in one of our future podcasts. There's also buying notes. So you can buy notes, buy people's notes. That requires some cash, right, to make that happen. But
that's where I come into play.
That's where you come into play, right? Because you can help them get the funding. I love what we do. I love the real estate investing, and I love to help other people become real estate investors. And I love being part of the community. I teach a couple of times a month at our masterminds, and people are calling my wife and myself asking us for how to help them run numbers, to evaluate properties and stuff like that. This home, just let me tell you real briefly, is that we bought it for $278,000. It's 1,850 square feet, and its total is 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. And we bought it from a wholesaler. So wholesaler found the house, got an agreement with the homeowners, and then we bought it from him. And he made in that process, his fee was $8,000. So we paid $278 for the house. He had it under contract for $270. We paid $278. Everybody's happy, right? And so by the time that we kind of walked through it, we didn't get on wholesale deals. It's a little bit hard to do a good deep dive into evaluating what it's going to cost to fix it up, because they want you to close really fast. But we did get a chance to walk through it before we actually closed on it, and it was a mess. In fact, I'll give you a sneak peek. I think we're running out of time here to give you the down low on this house, but here's a couple of pictures of what this house looked like before we bought it. And there was, underneath this floor where we're at right now, there was a sewer pipe about that long that was out of cast iron, and the whole top of it was a convertible sewer pipe because it had no top. And it was crazy. But here's the down and dirty numbers. We bought it for $278. We have it listed right now for $499.9, and we put close to $95,000 into this house. That's how much we had to redo. We redid windows, all the electrical was redone, most of the plumbing was redone, and I played with the walls. You guys have seen me on my YouTube channel. If there's a better way to configure something, we try to do it. And this house, we did that. Now this house has a bonus. It has a 1-bedroom apartment that's behind this wall right here. And that 1-bedroom apartment will rent for about $1,250 a month. And Angie actually did some math. If you bought this house for $499,900 and your down payment was 20%, which would be about $100,000, and your loan amount was $400, your monthly payment would be at 7%, which is a little lower right now, but your monthly payment would be $2,660 a month. And you rent that apartment for $1,250 a month, that reduces your mortgage down to $1,400 a month. Is that a good thing or a bad thing to have someone else help you pay your mortgage payment?
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing, right? And so that's kind of what we did with this house. Is we actually are thinking that someone, if they think about it, would buy this house and rent out both sides, because both sides you can cash flow. What'd you say, $700 a month?
Earthquake.
Sorry, we just had an earthquake. So $700 a month. in cash flow.
That's great.
If you rent out both sides, that's pretty good. I mean, most people are happy with $300 to $500 a month,
especially only on a $100,000 investment.
Yeah,
that's with 20% down. You probably don't even really need that, to be honest.
Well, generally with investment type property, sometimes you have to put 25% down, but it depends on the loans. There's also loans for long term. They're called DCSR loans, and don't ask me what that stands for, because
debt service coverage ratio.
See, that's why he's on this show with us.
Yeah, I do know a thing or two
so
about investing.
A little bit about that. Just in a sense, it's like a hard money loan without the interest or the cost, because the loan is based on the property and its income. And so, and again, they don't really care what your credit or income is.
It's essentially a hard money loan for a long-term use.
That's more reasonable cost, because they make more money in the long run. So anyways, so that's kind of the down and dirty on this house. There's only one part of this house that we didn't touch. And in the apartment, it's the bath, the tub shower, because it had been updated. It was filthy, but we cleaned it and it looked nice, and we didn't have to touch it.
A long way.
That's the only place that we didn't touch on this house. So I wanted to draw your attention to our microphones. Originally, they were going to be faux microphones. And I kind of started thinking about it, and I thought,
they're heavy.
How can I build one of these? Yeah, they're all out of sturdy, all out of steel pipe.
I made them with tools that I own.
Wood tools? I don't think you made these with wood tools.
I did not make these with tools.
But I went to Home Depot, and I started playing with parts and putting parts together, and this is what I came up with. But they were going to be fake. But then my wife, this morning, was it this morning they were delivered? She had ordered these little...
And the felt on the bottom, too. You guys thought of everything. It's incredible.
It was so fun. I had fun making it. But look at that. That's an actual microphone, and it's got a magnetic attachment. And so they wound up being real microphones and not faux microphones.
And Mike may be old, but he is definitely young at heart. Look at this.
So it was fun. I mean, I was thinking after I bought all the parts and had to pay for it, I'm like, I spent like $150. That includes the 2 hard hats. But I was like, man, I could have just gone and bought microphones for that. But this is way better, because we made them
way cooler.
And they're have these wireless fuzzy cat.
And I got to use a tool today, so that was awesome too.
Because we had to take off the part that was the faux part of the microphone.
Did have to have my hard hat on to use the tool, though. That was a must.
So you guys, we love what we do, and we want to share with you the things that we learn. We're going to have some amazing guests on our podcast that will talk about real estate investing, maybe different avenues of real estate investing, talk about real estate education, and we'll talk about the funding, and we'll talk about how to find properties and how to do this, right? Because you want to, right? You do, right? You want to be a real estate investor, because if you do, it will change your life, literally change your life. No more rat race for you. Let's get on this bandwagon. I would say not too bad for our first podcast. What do you think?
Hey, I think we did all right.
He likes picking that up. He likes holding it.
I really like holding it. I don't know. It just feels better this way. You haven't tried it yet. Give it a try.
I know. I should. How's this?
It does feel good.
Yeah.
Everyone, thank you so much. Stay tuned for more.
So we'll do more, and we're not sure what the frequency will be yet.
Every day.
All kind of came together when we got this house finished. We wanted to do a video about the house, and we have that all put together. We'll actually be posting it on my YouTube channel. Probably not for a few more weeks. I got to give the editors some time to. I just put all of the pictures and videos in a folder just from my phone, not counting my wife's phone, and there were 202 of them. So we have to kind of pare it down a little bit, but it'll probably be a 60-minute video on what it took to do this house. It'll be pretty cool. But mostly we want to show you we're in a house that we bought as real estate investors without using any of our own money, and we're going to make a 60 grand on it, and we're going to share it with Mitch because he was an investor, but still 60 grand. This is amazing, right? And why don't you do it? Why aren't you doing it? If you want to learn more about how we do this and how we learn how to do it, send us a message. Let's talk about it. We can tell you where to find the education, the right education. There's so much out there, including me. I was traveling around doing real estate education, and it doesn't even hold a candle to the education that we can offer you. And we want to help you get out of the rat race. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about finance and about buying and fixing real estate and investing in real estate in all the different ways. So every podcast will focus on a different real estate strategy, and hopefully have a number of guests. We know, both of us, we know a lot of people that are in this business, and we'll invite them on our show as guests and interview them and help you figure out how to make this happen. Hey, thanks again for watching. If you like what you saw, hit that like button, and
enter YouTube.
Yeah, we'd love to have you subscribe to our podcast as well. And for now, the podcast is going to be parked on the Remodel King channel. But after a short time, depending on how interested you guys are, if anybody's not interested, well, we probably won't do it. But hopefully you like this enough that you tell your friends about it and share it. And let's get something going here that we can help you get out of the rat race. So you can see that we're dressed a little different than when we ended our podcast because we forgot a little segment, and we're trying to get it recorded so that we can get it added to our podcast. At the end of each of our podcasts, we plan on doing a question and answer session. So we want you to message us and let us know what your questions are. Anything about funding, contracting, real estate investing, anything, and send it to us. And after our next podcast, we'll answer those questions at the end of the podcast. And so we just wanted to introduce you to that, but we want to help you guys out. We want to help you get excited about the idea of actually becoming a real estate investor and how to fund your real estate investing business and how to take care of all the fix and flip construction rehab stuff. That's what this podcast is all about. So if you have any questions along those lines, shoot them over and we'll do our best to answer them next time. Well, let me tell you that knowledge is key. So a lot of people will pull the trigger and say, I want to be a real estate investor, and they'll go out and buy a piece of property. And the property was a mistake from the minute they signed the paper. In our real estate community, one of the things that we teach is that you make your money on a deal when you buy it, not when you sell it, when you buy it. So if you don't buy it right, it's a mistake.
A lot. Having access to capital at 0%, especially under a business name, is very, very key in helping you make a decision. Understanding how much you're going to make versus how much you're getting charged in interest definitely plays a huge role.
Well, it allowed us to do what needed to be done, right? If we didn't put enough of a rehab budget in, then I would be having to cut way more corners than I personally am willing to do. And so having the funding all taken care of and not having to worry about that is a huge difference, right? Because then I can come in and do it, get it done quick, and get it ready to go back on market.
So it allows you to execute.
Get educated.
Yeah, I mean, before they buy, they need to make sure they run all their numbers, and then have someone else in their community that you rub shoulders with also fact check their numbers, check them to see if there's any holes in it. I did learn that I probably won't do a house built in 1954 again because everything's so old. I mean, the pipes were rotten, the wires were wrong, and all that kind of stuff.
Even if you can make 60 grand?
Never mind. I would still do it again.